Hello, hello. Today with Erica Faye, I have a very fun tutorial for y'all that is for a bento box. And this bento box, here is my example. I am recreating the tutorial with my own changes on it, but I will credit that person and they will be linked in the description box below. The original tutorial that I had followed, the measurements for the lid and the bottom were not fitting, so I adjusted that, but then also I wanted to adjust the measurements of the box lid. I wanted where it was shorter, not fitting just to the measure to the end. So you will notice that in my tutorial that the measurements for the papers are different, so that way we get this and achieve this look, as well as the inside boxes are slightly different too, and a little bit of a change up for the measurements as well, so that way they can fit in nicely. So again, this is my template. So here you can see I use 2 different types of paper, but this is not just paper. This is made with chipboard as well. So I will show the chipboard that I use, and I recommend doing it with chipboard. That's what it should be made with for sturdiness and for keepsake, because when it's a thinner paper, then you just get something that's a little more flimsy. Like I said, this is great for a template, like just to start out, get familiar with the project, in case there's any oopsies. To make a good quality crafted project, I recommend using chipboard. I am creating this tutorial for a swap that I am hosting over at Papercraft Swaps. So if you are a part of this swap and you sign up, please make your bento box with chipboard, and you will be covering the front and back of the chipboard. So the front would be the outside, and then the inside, the back would be the inside, considered the inside. So we will be covering chipboard, front and back. And then these are the 3 boxes that go inside. I will be creating a journal that goes inside here, and then these boxes will just sit on top of that journal. So at the end of this tutorial, I will show you the finished of it all decorated and embellished and with the journal and everything. But this is the base that we are going to create right now together. Let me jump to the tools that you will need for this project. You are going to need a rubber brayer, so a rolling pin for crafting. This I use all the time for all kinds of projects. It's a Cricut one. You can use for vinyl projects, so you probably already have one in your craft room, but I use this to be able to roll on my paper and the paper that we will be gluing to the chipboard. It's really great for doing that. So it smooths it out, so it's not needed, but I recommend it highly. And then I recommend that you grab some glue. You can use score tape as well, but in this project, because we are gluing paper on to the chipboard, if it doesn't get on there correctly the first time around, you want to be able to pull it back. So with score tape, you know that once you adhere it, which I love me some score tape, but it's on there for good. So this using glue would be the best route in this project. I'm using Barely Art Glue, one of my favorites. I will link all of these products down below if I can find them. And then you just need a pair of scissors. I'm using these little Tim Holtz ones, which I love. You will need some clamps of some sort. So you can use these type of clamps or some clothespins, wooden clothespins, to be able to hold your project together, because when you do the lid and for the top and the bottom, you are going to want to glue and then clamp it down so it can hold in place for more sturdiness. Okay, and then we will want a score tool, of course. So a score tool and a scoreboard and a paper trimmer. So I have the We Are Memory Keepers all in one here, so I'm going to use that today. And then also a ruler might come in handy. I have my We Are Memories Keeper ruler here. So those are the things that you need. Pretty simple when it comes to tools. Now let's talk about paper and chipboard. For the top and the bottom, we are going to cover, again, like I said, cover the front and the back of the chipboard. So the chipboard that I'm using today is this silhouette chipboard. I absolutely love it. Mom and I picked up a few packs quite some time ago at a scrapbook store. I love it, and it's a great quality, but it's still strong, but still flexible at the same time. Now, however, when we cover it, it's going to make it stronger. But if you have chipboard that's already strong, then, you know, it's going to make it even thicker. So like I said, you can use You can make your own chipboard, as in like a cereal box or a cracker box, as long as it's the right dimensions and size, because you're going to cover it. Nobody's going to see it anyway. I just love this because I know that it's evenly smooth and we don't have any ripples or any change in the, you know, flatness of it, because you know when you use cereal boxes wherever there's a bend, it can be a little tricky, so you really got to smooth that out. So that's up to you on that, because like I said, you'll be covering it anyway. But I recommend this one if you're looking for one. These are 12-inch by 12-inch by Silhouette, and they're an awesome flexibility but still have a sturdiness to it. So you need 2 of these. And then paper. So for paper, like I said, we're going to be covering the front and the back. So you are going to want 4 pieces of 12 by 12 paper. This is the paper collection that I chose. It's Rosie Studio Hello It's Me. And these are the papers I will use in this box. And then I will use to embellish some of their chipboards and ephemeras from this collection that I have. Beautiful floral print. And then here I have a floral that's a teal color. So this is a single-sided paper. I recommend using a single-sided paper first if you have one. But if you're really set on a double-sided, just know that you will be choosing one side and the other side will not be shown, because you're covering this 12 by 12 chipboard piece. What I recommend for the papers, choose a design and pattern that's non-directional, so it doesn't matter which way. If you do choose something that needs to be directional, you'll need to think about that, how it's laying out, how it's going to be folded out, and all those things. But your best bet is to do it non-directional, because you're going to be embellishing the box top anyway. And then that way you can do whatever you want and put it in the direction that you need to, your design and all that. Okay, so I already have it laying here how I'm going to do it. I want this to be the top of the box and the lid, and this will be the inside, the bottom side of this chipboard that we will be covering together. And then think it out and through about what color and design you want on the bottom, and which design you want on the top, and which design you want on the inside. Let's talk about the inside boxes. So the inside boxes of this bento box are here. I will put all the measurements in the description of this video below, as well as on the screen for you all to make it easy. I chose to go with 3 different colors inside the box that match this lid. I have 3 sheets of paper here. And they are different colors because they will be the colors that I chose for the boxes on the inside. And those will be different dimensions. So you can use scrap papers for the smaller little boxes if you have them. You can do, you know, printed paper, whatever it is that your heart desires. But I just have 3 sheets here that I am going to use for the boxes. We have our tools. We have our chipboard, we have our papers, we have all the things that we need. So let's get started with gluing first. I'm going to start off with the lid, the top part of the box. We have our chipboard and we have our 12 by 12 pieces. You have 12-inch by 12-inch. We are going to glue each side together. So let's get started. I have my glue here. I recommend working pretty quickly if you can. I like the finer tip of glue just because I don't like it to get all globbed up. And I don't want it making the paper, because if you get like that, the paper can, you know, get soft and stuff like that. So you don't want to do big globs of glue. You want to lightly just put it across, okay? And you're going to go, it doesn't matter what direction you go. It doesn't matter anything. That stuff doesn't matter. You do want to get close to the edge. Alrighty, I have my layered paper. We are going to line it up at the top, just like so, but we're not going to put it all the way down just yet. You can pull it down if you need to and adjust, especially if it's glue. Again, a score tape is awesome, and feel free if you're confident in doing that. I just want to line it up as best as I can. And see, you'll see, you have to adjust a few times, then just adjust, The glue hasn't dried just yet anyway. I feel like if you get it lined up pretty good, for the most part, it's right, but not every paper is going to be super square. You know what I mean? So you just gotta play with it and work as fast as you can and trying to line it up evenly. You can add trims to it and everything like that if you don't get it exactly like it should be. Alrighty, so I have everything there. It's down. It's as even as I feel like it's going to be. It's going to get, and then now I'm going to use my little roller here. My little crafty rolling pin. I love it. I use it all the time. I use it for everything. When I'm gluing, when I'm doing vinyl, when I'm working with my Cricut, my brother's Scanica, all that stuff. Alrighty, so I know that it's down pretty good now. And then we're going to flip it over. But you will see that if it's not lined up exactly, it's okay because you can add trim and all that. But if you look on this side, it's pretty lined up, pretty good. And if there's any overlapping, like I said, it's not a big deal because you can cover that with trim and then it's not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? So we're going to roll this down like this way. Just to smooth it out. And now we're going to add glue and we're going to put the inside of the box because that other side was the outside of the box. This is going to be the inside of the lid. And we are just going to add our glue. I try to get close to the edge as possible. And I just squiggle it on. Try to be quick. We are going to lay this inside piece, which I call the bottom side of the chipboard. And I feel like that was pretty easy. That one went on pretty quick and easy there. We're going to just roll it back and forth, all which ways, just to get it down. And I add a little pressure, of course. And that's another thing. If you're doing light glue, then you don't have to worry so much about it coming out and seeping out the edges. You know what I mean? And if you find that the edges are not sealed, then you can just add it where it's separated. You can just add a little glue. I just go like this with my finger and kind of just press it together. But you can do anything. You can use your little bone folder, score tool, and go along the edges if you'd like. But there we go. We have a nicely covered chipboard. Okay, and now that's the top of our box. We've done one half. Let's do our second half. I have a chipboard and two 12 by 12 pieces of paper. And this is from the Rosie Studios collection. I will link all of that information below if you're interested. So let's glue this together. So let's lay down one of our pieces. Line it up as best that you can onto your chipboard. Once you get it down, use your little rubber brayer. And then I just roll it every which way. So that way it's adhered nicely to the chipboard as possible. Like I said, if you're cutting it, then it could come up. So you'll just have to re-glue a little bit, but that's totally okay. And if you don't line it up exactly or the paper's not right on, not a big deal at all. I just say you can fix that later by adding trim or washi or whatever you want to do. Or you could pull it back up and try again as long as it's not totally dry. let's close your glue because you don't want to get all clogged up. We'll need it again, so don't get rid of it. Grab our scoreboard. Turn it the right way. Here we go. And we have our little scoreboard up here. All right, y'all. Okay, we have our bottom. It's a 12 by 12 inches all the way around. Here we go. And then we're going to go around, and then we'll flip it and do it again. 2 inches all the way around. And it is thicker because you remember you have we've covered the chipboard front and back. Alrighty. So we have scored all the way around. Now we are going to flip it and do it again just so we can really see those score marks stand out all the way around. Line it. Go slow so you stay. And because it's thicker, that's what happens. All the way around. Score. Okay, so we've done front and back. I'm going to move the tools over here. Okay, grab your scissors and we are going to cut. So this is going to be on the inside of the box. This is going to be on the outside of the box. Okay, so we are going to take it, and you might have to angle your box just a tad, your sheet, so that way you can see your scores and get it right. There we go. We're going to flip it, and then we're going to cut here. And it might come apart when you cut, so you will probably have to glue and touch up. And I'll show you how I do that here in a second. And then we're going to turn it. And just like I said, angle it however you need to make sure that you can see. Okay, and then you're going to need your score tool again. So that way you can kind of help press up. And then that's what I do. I just cut into it like this to help my score and to bend the box. So this is the bottom. And again, I just kind of bending it. But like I said, you don't want to dig too deep because you don't want to cut the paper. But just kind of helping it form the box. Like so. And then you're going to bend these little flaps, and you can score or press that down, crease it. So that way it just gives it a little more sturdiness, like so. And you can flip it the opposite way and do it if you like. But I think that's pretty good. And then what you're going to do is just kind of form it, and you can see here. Okay, because we didn't glue, like spread it on, it can separate, as you can see. If it starts to, just add a little glue, and then I just roll my finger over it. So I'm kind of got the form of the box now, the formation. And that's when you're going to grab your little clamps, and then you're going to glue, and you are going to clamp it in place. But again, like I said, kind of, you know, back and forth motion is what I kind of do. So that way the box has a little bit of a give, and you're kind of like, you know, rolling it into the form that you want. And like this little bendation here can happen, but because, you know, you are gluing layers, but I don't worry about it too much because it's the inside of the box. You're not going to see that. And here we go. So grab your glue again. We're going to glue on the inside of this flap. And you're going to want to get a good amount of glue because you want the box to stay together. All right. And then we are going to line it up like so. And then you're going to hold it, and you're going to clamp it down with a clamp. And you might have to, you know, glue it again on the edges or in the corners, wherever, if it's not, you know, totally secure, but you get the idea. Again, add your glue. I get a little messy, but that's okay. Nothing you can't wipe up. I line it up like so. Press it and smooth it out. Add a clamp, and then go to the next corner. And you're going to do this all the way around. And so these little pieces are going to be glued on the inside. And the edges. Pull up my piece, line it up. And like I said, y'all can cut it if you want. I know some do, to get rid of the bulkiness. In this particular box, I didn't feel it was necessary to cut these little flaps. But you can cut, be my guest, to cut a little bit on each side if you like, to make less bulkiness. If you like to do that, leave it in the comments below. If you leave it, I just feel like it depends on the project, you know. But anyways, you can kind of just do this to form the box as well. And to press down. Okay, and then we're gonna glue our very last tab of the bottom of our box. Okay, we got all our glue, we're good to go. Now I'm going to line it up again. And then I'm going to use a little clamp. And we got a clamp to hold it down. This one, as you can see, it still needs some glue here. So all I do is go like so, add the glue, and then put the clamp back on. I'm going to put this aside, let it dry, and we're going to do the top half. We are going to grab our other 12 by 12 covered chipboard, and this one will be the top. We will be cutting this down. All right, so we're going to cut all the way. We're going to cut this down to 10 inch and 3/4 because we are going to have this be a little bit shorter edging on the top of the lid of the box. All right, so we are going to cut down again to 10 and 3/4 inch. So let me pull my trimmer down so y'all can see. We're going to go right there and cut off 10 and 3/4 inch. And you're going to want to really press down because it's going to it's thicker. So really push down in there and cut it good. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so on one end, there we go. We're going to flip it and we're going to do this end. 10 and 3/4 inch. And make it. There we go. So we've trimmed this paper down. We're going to flip this over and make it a scoreboard. So grab your scoreboard and you are going to score all the way around at 1 1/4 inch. So 1 1/4 inch. Here we go. And we're going to score down, press good and hard. And then we're going to turn it around and do 1 1/4 inch. Scoring, pressing down. Pretty good. Go turn it, flip it, all that jazz, all the way around. 1 1/4 inch. Then I'm going to flip it onto the other side, and we are going to do that side for good measure. It's super thick, so you want to make sure that your score goes all the way. All right. It's a super easy and simple box to make, but it's just a few extra steps because we are covering our chipboard. You know what I mean? All right, that's good to go. Let's push this off to the side and let's grab our scissors and let's do our cutting. You can see here, just cut. There we go. And like I said, you can trim off the excess if you want to. And we're going to flip it around. And we're cutting our tabs to glue. After you cut your tabs to glue, tabs first, and crease, fold and crease, fold and crease, and then fold and crease. All right, then we are going to just take our fingers. Okay, so here we go. We have some separation. This is going to happen because we glued front and back first, and then we cut. So when you cut it, it separates. The one piece that we didn't cut, which is the lid, it's not going to really separate on you, but it could. So what I do is I just stick a little glue in there, no big deal. Roll my fingers over it and press, and it's back on. I just feel like this is a lot more time saving and easier to do than cutting the chipboard separately and then cutting the liner and then gluing it. So you can do it however you want, but it needs to be scored and all that jazz. Okay, so here we go again. It's not separating this time on us, so that's nice. I just use my little bone folder and press in the corner to kind of help, you know, pull it up and make and form the box. And we're going to do that here too. Just press in. And it doesn't hurt the integrity of the box at all because, again, we're super thick here. All right. Let's glue our tab. So same technique as the other half of the box. You're going to put your glue down. You're going to line it up. And you're going to clamp down with a clamp. And let this baby set as you do the next side. So again, you can just kind of do that back and forth motion a little bit to try to get this to get straight, you know, to be straight. And then you can use your, and just push. That's what I kind of do. And then just give it that little push. And then that way it kind of, you know, forms as it's drying. And there's our lid. All right, so let's put that off to the side and let's check our bottom of our box. So it should be good to go. We're going to take off our clamps and we're going to look at it together. So you can see here, it still isn't glued 100%. So I'm going to stick more glue in there. Not a big deal. It hasn't been that long. And then we're just going to close it with a clamp here. And actually, let's do this type of clamp now, a clothespin one. So I can get closer to the edge, wipe off the excess glue. And we're going to do that here as well, just because we want to make sure the integrity of this box is nice. And we're going to use a little clothespin. And then here you can see that if it's separating a little bit, exactly the same idea. And just add a little glue and then put a little clothespin. And then this side, for good measure, let's just do that too, because I just made it come apart, but that's okay. And then we're going to add a little clamp. Now we have our bottom and our base of our box, the bottom, and then our lid, the top. We are going to set these off to the side so they can dry. Now let's grab our solid pieces of paper to make the inside boxes bento box right here. Okay, so I have my 3 sheets of paper. You can cut these down and get them all ready. I didn't pre-do it because I'm just going to do it with y'all on camera. And we are going to measure these pieces, and then we are going to glue and cut them in the same fashion that we did with the main box. Okay, so we are going to do one box, and it's going to be in the description. I'll put the measurements, and then as well as on the screen. So the first box is going to be 6 3/8 inch by 9 3/4 inch. So let's do the teal color here. I'm going to cut down first. We have our paper trimmer, and we are going to cut it down to, so let's do 9 3/4 inch first. 9 3/4 inch, we're going to cut. And then we are going to trim this side down to 6 3/8. 6 3/8 inch. There we go. Oops. Be in camera view. 6 3/8 inch. Okay, so we have one piece here. And all of these are going to be scored the same, so we can go ahead and cut. The next paper we're going to cut is 5 3/8 inch by 5 3/8 inch. So like I said, if you have smaller pieces, you can go ahead and use those. I'm just using these because I chose these colors. So we're going to just go with a full sheet and just show you how I cut it down. All right. So 5 3/8 by 5 3/8. Okay, so we have our pieces here. And then our last little box insert is going to be 5 1/4 inch by 6 3/8 inch. So we want to go 6 3/8. All right. And then we're going to 5 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch. All right. Okay, then we're going to switch to our scoreboard. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. There we go. And then we're going to score. And again, I said all of these will be scored at the same, but here we go. We have our 3 different boxes inserts. Okay, so we're going to score at 1 inch, all right, all the way around. Super simple, super easy. Just score them all. 1 inch all the way around. And these will be our insert boxes for our bento box. So this is just regular cardstock. It doesn't have to be super heavy for the boxes that go inside the box. All right, and we are going to cut the same way. So I'm just going to show you all that. We're going to cut the same way that we did and then flip it. It's the same technique. This is a lot easier to cut, of course, and score because it's just regular cardstock. We're going to do the same thing on all of these. Cut and turn. And then we will glue these together and they're ready to insert. And by the time we're done doing all of this, our lid and our bottom base of our box should be ready to embellish and you will have a completed box. It's glue and fold. So again, you can just take these, a lot easier because again, it's just regular cardstock. Super simple, super fast, and super easy. I'm going to fold all these over so that way they're ready. Uh-oh. There we go. Get on the score line, Erica. Okay, now we are going to fold over. I like to do that just to give it a little more crease. And then now we're ready for glue. So let me get the glue. And here we go. So you're going to put a little bit on the tab. Super simple, super easy. It doesn't have to be as heavy duty and as much glue. You can just hold it in place and it'll pretty much stay because it's a lot easier because it's not as heavy. And you're not forcing, you know, like the chipboard and everything to stay. So I kind of just hold it together for a few seconds and then get on to the next one. And if you really want to get fancy, you can line these boxes. You can do different, you know, inside and out. You can layer these if you want. I wouldn't get too crazy and like do chipboard on the inside just because it's going to make the box more heavier. And I can't guarantee that the boxes are going to fit inside of your box as easy. So be forewarned about that. Like if you, I've already changed the dimensions of these boxes to fit the box that I created. And because I changed up the dimensions of the original person's tutorial, the original ladies, and the measurements were off a little bit anyways. So I had to adjust, and that's what I did. But these boxes should very nicely fit on the inside of the bento box that we made together. All right, so I'm going to go over here and fold. And if you like to crease first and then cut and all that, you can feel free to do that however you like to do it. That's up to you. Going to take off our clips. Let me zoom out. There we go. And our box is ready to put the inserts. So in the very bottom of your box, you're going to be putting your journal, and I will have that in this tutorial as well, how I made that journal. And I will make chapters in this video, so you all can just skip to that part if you need to watch it again and again. All right, so these boxes are able to fit in here very nicely and easily. And how cute is that? And then when you put the journal on the bottom, these will sit on top of it with your little goodies inside. Okay, but these are pushed all the way in so you can see what it looks like. Let's grab the top of our box. We're going to take off our clamps. It's a nice fit. And like I said, you can take your box, the lid, and what I do is I stand it up and I push in like this. If it's kind of popping. Oops, I was hoping you could see. Sorry, y'all. I stand it up like this, and then I push down and kind of cut in to crease and push down. So that way it's more straight, okay? We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to cut into the corner and then cut into the side. And then press down is what I do. It also makes it more sturdy, strong, more straight lined, and then also any glue. We're going to turn it and do the same thing. So you're going to do this to every edge on the inside of the box. Since we double lined it, it just creases it and makes it stronger and flatter, as you can see. And then if you still find that it's doing that, you can just, like I said, do the bend motion, and then I would just push in, and there we go. See how much nicer that is? So if it's bowing a little bit on you, this is what I do. Not a big deal at all. And there we go. Much better. This side, I see it's still doing it a little bit. So like I said, you push down. I'm trying to show you, push down. I keep showing. There we go. Push down. Push down. There we go. All right. So now it's taken shape, just how we want it. And we're going to put the lid on, and then we have a finished bento box. And it goes on very nicely. I'm going to zoom out, and this is how it looks. Absolutely darling. Don't mind the messy desk here with all this stuff. I am going to go embellish and make all the goodies inside, and then I will come back and show you the finished project and how it turned out. So we made this bento box together on camera, and then I went and embellished it and then made a journal to go inside, and all of the lovely goodies that I will share here are on the inside as well. So first, to start off, I embellished the top, and then I embellished the sides with just a simple sticker ribbon here. I absolutely love that trim. And then on the top, we'll just take a closer peek. I used the ephemera pack and sticker pack that came with this Rosie Studios set. I've already shared that in the beginning of this tutorial. And then I embellished with some gold foam here on the bottom. I pop-up dotted it, added little accents here by gluing those on. And then all of these flowers are different Prima flowers from different Prima packs that I have. I absolutely love how the lid of this turned out. Here we go. This is the lovely inside. I have all of my boxes filled with many amazing hand embellished and goodies. So for this swap, you will find the details of this swap if you're going to be a part of it in Papercraft and Swaps, and I will have all the list of choices that you can make for embellies to put inside of your little compartments of your bento box. I decided to make some shadow words. So as you can see here, I will link below too. This is a KS Craft die for shadow words that I purchased on Amazon. And I just love it, handmade with love. I did black cardstock with foam, and this Spellbinders foam, for glitter foam for my swap partner, just for you. It's a pleasure swapping. Enjoy, my friend, and hello, crafter. So love those. And then I made some banners, some lovely layered banners with, this is a die that came from Sizzix. And then I did layered like little ephemera pieces and pop-up dotted those from this same collection, along with some little tulle here that's glittered. So we got that one, Follow Your Heart, Moments to Shine, and Hello, Good Times. Loving that. I made this custom pen, which I absolutely love. The pen itself came from Temu, and then this big sparkly candy bead came from a D-stash haul that I bought in a live from Tiffany, as well as this little flower here, the yellow flower that you can put a center bead in. And this little center bead is very, very pretty. Look at it. And it was actually a free gift from Tiffany for purchasing in her hauls. And then I had this little spacer bead that's glittered that I picked up, and it was just in our stash. So used that to create a very fun custom pen. And then I did some bows, and these bows are all cut with cardstock from Michaels. And then I did layers of them, and these are die cut bows from Picket Fence, and then I centered them with a little rhinestone. So then I chose off the list to make some wax seals, and you'll have seen these different wax seals in different hauls that I've purchased. And the Happy Mail, I'm pretty sure, is from Honeybee. And then I have Hello, I think that's from Spellbinders. And then this 3D one is like with the butterfly and flowers. That's also from Spellbinders. And then another Happy Mail here. I already showed that one. So yes, so fun. 4 different little wax seals. The wax seals were made with those stamps, and then the actual wax was purchased from Hobby Lobby. Then I filled up these little goodies for extras with little things that she can use. Who I made this for. This will be going out as Happy Mail. And then this is a fun little dangle that I chose to make. And I just made it with different stuff that I had from my stash and different beads and all kinds of fun flowers here. And just love, love, love how it turned out with the little pink bow at the top. And then I created little 3x3 cards, 3x3 cards. And these are just little embellished, little fun cards that they can collect, the receiver, or that they can use to put on the front of a card or what have you on their projects. This one says see possibility everywhere. The little stickers came from Say Journal. The rest of the stuff, the like ephemera and things like that, and the paper came from the Rosie Studios collection. Today is a good day, and creativity takes courage. And then I die cut these little envelopes from a die that I have with little notes on the inside. Thought that was super cute and fun, and the typewriter. And then we will remove the inside trays. So let me zoom out just a tad. There we go. And we'll move these trays and put them over here inside the lid. Oh, let's just move this. And then you can see on the bottom, there is a journal. So this journal book, I will not be having a tutorial on. I made it with my cinch, the one that's the seam binding one. So it's not, as you can see, not spiraled. So I love the cinch machine from We Are Memory Keepers. It's a great machine, and it makes a really nice book, as you can see. So this is a little journal book, and for the swap, I am requiring that you make your own handmade book journal. So I don't want it recovered. I want it to be handmade, but you can use the cinch that's the thermal cinch like this, where it does like a seam binding in it. You can use the cinch that has the spiral. You can put your own rings. I have another example I will share with that. So this journal is 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches. And then on the inside, the pages are the same. They are 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches. And I embellished the outside, as you can see. I love it. It says, write your story. You kind of owe it to yourself to do all the things you've dreamed. And then I love the book here in the background. And then I did typewriter print here. And then on the inside is the typewriter keys, and then on the inside of the cover we have pens. So that was again from the same collection. This is a We Are Memory Keepers cinch thermal cinch binding that came that I bought in a pack. I will link it below if I can. And then I just did a little rickrack ribbon here. This is a little border that was already together, but the ephemera I put in there from this same collection. And this chipboard sticker, write your story, is also. But anywho, the point is make your own. This fits in here nicely at 7.5 by 7.5 inches. I did about 20 pages on the inside, and I embellished the top. And then as you can see, there's still room to fit. So, I mean, you could get real chunky with your journal if you want. You can do all kinds of things. but as you can see, it fits nicely and there's still room in here. So you can really fill this up and do all kinds of fun things with this bento box. If you are not a part of the swap and you just want to follow this tutorial, then you can do so many things. So here's the blank one. I have yet to embellish this one, but I will soon. And I want to show this journal that my mom made. So this is another example of a journal that you can make to put inside the bottom of this box. And as you can see, it fits very nicely in here. She did a 2-ring. The size and dimensions for this journal are 7 inches by 7 inches. And then she did the pages a little bit smaller at 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And she was doing this as an example to show you that, see how much space there is. If you go a little bit smaller, you can put tabs on your journal. You can really have so much room to embellish it. So I want the dimensions for the journal that you put and make in the bottom of your bento box, if you are participating in this swap, to be at least 7 by 7. So at least 7 by 7 inches with pages of at least 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. That's the smallest that I want in the actual swap. But just to give you guys an example of what you can do. And then of course, as you can see in this one that I created, you can go up to 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches. So I hope that you enjoyed this overall finished bento box with the journal. I hope it inspired you. If you're going to join the swap, leave it in the comments below that you're joining. I'd love to know that you came and watched. If you just are going to make this bento box and just send it or keep it for yourself, I can't wait to hear about what you plan on making and what you plan on doing. Do you want to gift it? Are you going to make it for yourself? What are your plans? Leave it in the comments below. I would love to know, and that you enjoyed this tutorial. So that's the end of this video. It's going to be pretty long because it was a tutorial as well as a project share in a sense, but also kind of giving you the ideas and things that you need to know if you're going to be a part of this swap. I thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below or send me a message. Thanks for watching, y'all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!